Welcome back to the Chapter Chats and Chill podcast.
Your cozy reading nook where we talk everything about books, tropes, fave characters, and more. This is Elena.
This is Maroua.
And Emma, and we invite you to get comfortable, grab a cup of tea or coffee, and get ready to enter a world where stories come true. All right. So for today's episode, we would really love to create like a holiday gift guide for you guys. And so we're just going to chit chat about bookish items that we would love to receive or we would love to give to someone, depending also on their tastes. Right, girls?
Yes. I'm so excited.
Right. Yeah. There's a ton of potential gifts that we could give or, just receive. Okay, so let's start with some book recommendations. I feel like this is like a very juicy topic. I love to give books. I don't know about you guys, but I love to give books as presents to family and friends. To be honest, it's one of my favorite gifts to give.
I don't gift a lot of books usually because I only have very few friends who read.
Why don't we start with some book recommendations for people according to their tastes or their hobbies?
Yeah, it's a really nice idea. Let's go.
Okay, I have an idea for the hopeless romantic people. What would you girls give to a very romantic person as a gift?
So in my case, I would definitely recommend Hazelwood's books. Like I don't know if you girls read them, but we have The Love Hypothesis, Love on the Brain, a lot theoretically. So the covers are so cheesy, but the stories are like doses of dopamine between pages. I mean, the stories are set in an academic environment and the writing is super light and addictive. We have a lot of punchlines, a lot of funny scenes. And we also have all kinds of tropes, like from fake dating to grumpy feet sunshine to enemies to lovers. But yeah, I think it's the perfect gift for any hopeless romantic.
I will totally recommend The Love Hypothesis by Leigh Hazelwood. It was on my list too. And I read it like last year and it was the best. The best for hopeless romantics. I think it really fits the category. So I completely agree with you, Maroua. But also I have to recommend Pride and Prejudice because it's my favorite book from all time. Plus, you have Mr. Darcy. I mean, it's the perfect character for this category. So totally will recommend it. And what about you, Emma?
I agree. The book that I picked for romantic people was also Pride and Prejudice for obvious reasons. And I feel like going back in time in itself, like so romantic. But I was also thinking of another book. It's called The Dead Romantics. I don't remember the name of the author. I'll look it up and write it in the... Do you know it?
I read it last summer, actually.
Did you like it? No, what do you mean? I loved it.
I don't like it. I'm sorry, but I don't know. It just felt, I don't know why. It's not. Maybe it's because he's,
Okay, well, okay.
I don't want to spoil the book.
So you didn't like the ending, I guess.
The ending is quite poetic, true, but I don't know. He just felt off. Like nothing happens during the book. I don't know.
I know what you mean. I found it very cozy and like a light book on its own. Maybe that's why I liked it. I was getting back into reading, and so I feel like, yeah, it could be the perfect gift for someone who likes romance and isn't looking for a very invested or like story full of twists and turns. But I also find it kind of mysterious. So definitely, if you're into like paranormal things, it might be a fun book for you. I don't want to say too much because I would definitely spoil like the main thing that happens. But I think it's a cute read. Definitely read it. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say that I actually liked the idea at first. That's why I started reading it. But then I mean, the chapters were kind of long, and again,
Oh.
not really much happens during the book. So I don't
Mhm.
know, I was expecting a lot of, not a lot of action, but some plot twists maybe, or
Mhm.
I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah. Just a disclaimer, it also talks about death. So that
Mm.
could be if you don't want to read about that specific topic, if it's a sensitive topic for you, definitely maybe this is not the book for you. But I'm really into like this types of books and books about death. I think that was kind of the period I was reading it. Uh, and so yeah, I mean,
I have a book
choose
for
yeah. Really?
you like
Oh,
this, yeah,
okay.
that, but I don't know if you read it. Maybe you did.
Mhm.
You know the Book Thief?
Yes.
You read it?
No.
The story is narrated by Death, who observes and tells the tale of a young girl named, if I remember correctly, Liesel Miminger, something like that. And she lives in the Nazi Germany during World War II. So yeah, we kind of follow how she deals with war and her family adoption, her friends, and so on. And it's actually called The Book Thief because she used to steal books and read them and narrate the stories to her friend and her neighbors and so on. So that's why it's called The Book Thief. But it's really,
Oh,
really,
I
really good. I really like it.
actually had this on my radar for so long because if it's in one in a category of book that you have to read before you die, and I really want to read it, but I didn't know about it. Like I didn't know the plot because I'm always want to go blind in a book. But now it's even more interesting actually. So thanks you,
yeah.
Thank you.
It's really good because actually the writing is also kind of poetic, and it's weird because it's a war book, but it's cozy, kind of
Mm.
like the family adoption are really adorable, especially like the father. And yeah, also there's a movie adaptation, which is
Yes.
also good. So if you wanna have a, I don't know, a look at it. So
Totally. I'm happy to hear this because I was a little bit worried about it being set in the world, like in the Second World War. I find it so difficult to read books set in the war uh, lately with everything happening. And I think it's a sad thing to say, but also like I can't really start reading these types of books. Like I feel it would be too much for me. But if it also has some cozy components, that maybe maybe I could give it a try. Definitely.
it's really, really good. I highly recommend it.
Thank you. I will add it to my Santa letter. um, how about girls? Do you have like any books that you would gift to a fantasy lover? I mean,
Mm.
I know I would.
Elena, do you want to start?
Yeah, of course, Six of Crows, but guys, you already know. But in order to change a little bit, I think that Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, because it's really whimsical and magical, it's a story inside another story, and everything it happened in a maze. And I cannot say a
Ooh.
lot because actually it's one of those books that you have to discover in order to like really understand it. And you have this Piranesi that is like I don't know if I can say it. Well, the main character is Piranesi, and then you have to discover all the book because otherwise I don't know how much I can spoil it because at the end you will be like, oh, that's why this happened. It would be mind blowing. I totally recommend Piranesi. So
Is it a standalone?
yeah, it's a standard. It's perfect. It was my one of my five favorite book from 2021, I think, or 2022. I
Ooh.
don't remember, but yeah, I totally recommend it. What about you, Emma?
I feel like I have to go with one of the classics, like for us, and that would be Throne of Glass, by Sarah J. Maas. And I mean, I feel like if I would gift this book to you, it would probably be like gifting you a ticket to hell or heaven, depending on how you see it, because it's a very, very long series. Is it seven or eight books, I
Wait,
think?
2, 4,
I'm not sure. A lot
8.
of books.
8 books.
8. Okay. But I would specifically give this to like a boy or a man, or someone who is into like high fantasy, complex worlds. And I mean, I kind of made it my mission to just gift fantasy books written by women to everyone. So I feel like that would be my choice, definitely. How about you, Mara?
So, for me, I will go with actually my first fantasy series ever, and that would be the Iron Face series written by Julie Kagawa. So, yeah, I read the books like several times, and they just hold a special place in my heart. So, I don't know if you heard of it, but if
No.
not, the story follows a girl named Megan Chase, who's a normal, not so normal, like teenager, whose brother has been kidnapped by some mysterious creatures. And so she has to go looking for him with her best friend, who is her best friend is kind of my best friend because I've known him since I was like 13 years old, and he's like the best character ever, but like a best friend character, not a boyfriend, not a book boyfriend. But yeah, so she goes looking for him in a place called the Never Never, which is a magical realm. And along the way, she discovers that she has some fairy heritage, and she became entangled to the political struggles of the Fae courts. She also, yeah, I'm not gonna say more because I'm afraid that I'll spoil you, but it's really, 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 really good. Like, it's the best. It's even better. I don't know, but for me, it's even better than Chronicles because
Ooh, okay. Interesting.
it has 4 books. The original series have 4 books, and then we have the sequel, which is the story of her brother and her son. I'm not gonna, yeah, I'm not gonna say anything, but it's really, really, really cool. Mm.
Okay. How about books for people who love to travel? Do you have any recommendations?
Weirdly enough, no. Although I travel a lot, like I
Yeah.
love traveling, but I've never read a book that is about traveling.
Mm,
So I don't
Me
know.
also, it depends from people to people, because for example, if I travel a lot, I already have a Kindle, yes or no, and if I don't, I prefer long book, short book. What do you think?
I'll go with light reads maybe for travelers because like you're exploring a city or doing a road trip, so we don't have really a lot of time to invest in a complicated read like fantasy or something. So maybe a light romance. Like I have books for summer vacations, like the Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, or what else? I also have one called A Love and Gelato. I don't know if
Ah,
you heard of it. It happens in
yeah,
Italy. So maybe if
it
someone
was,
goes to Italy, then I'll recommend Love and Gelato. So,
yeah,
Oh,
exactly. And also
and
okay.
for summer, I think everything from Emily Henry's, I think the one that wrote
she wrote Beach Read,
Beach
People
Read. Yeah,
Often Hate It, and
exactly. For summer, everything from her is okay.
I
But
actually have
again,
some.
what?
I'm breaking hearts today, but I'm not really a big fan of Emily Henry either.
Shock. But actually, I can relate. I read the first one, like Beach Read, that it was not on the beach. I remember everyone was shocked
Yeah,
because
it
it
happened.
happened on a lake.
it happens in a camping house. Not a camping
Yeah,
house, but
lake or
like a
something.
retreat house or something like that. And
Yeah, exactly.
I
And I
actually
was
never
like,
finished it. I
you
just
never
couldn't
finished?
finish it. No, because I tried to read it like several times, like maybe 4 or 5 times in like 3 years, but I never finished it. I couldn't. I just don't know why. There's something in her writing. I don't know. I read Book Lovers. I finished it, but it wasn't that good for me. I don't know. And also, I cannot relate to the characters. Like, I don't know. I don't really like her characters that much. Like,
Mhm. Well, for me, I can relate because for me, our books are just fine. They are okay. They are not bad or they are the best, but they are fine. Like they did their job. If you want to read it on a train, for example, it's okay. But then you totally forget about it, and it's okay because a book can also do that. So
yes,
Oh my
definitely.
God, yes. Honestly, with all the fantasy readings and especially series that I've been reading, sometimes the emotions are so intense. And so I love to have these shorter or lighter books, especially romance books, to kind of read in between one and the other, especially in between a long fantasy series, because it settles my soul in a way. And so I really love them for this reason. Like even reading lighter books, and I mean, it's very much up to personal taste. I don't think there is necessarily like a lighter category of books and a more intense one. Um, but even reading something that feels lighter is so heartwarming, and honestly, like I love that. But I do have a couple of recommendations for people who love to travel. One is a book, it's a fantasy, of course, but it's, I think, for people who love to travel because they love to learn about different cultures and experience different cultures. And it would be Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. It's a fantasy. It's set in a world that mixes up a lot the Western culture with the African culture and even Asian components and folklore. And so I loved it very much because it's, sometimes uh, fantasy books written by Western authors only portray or mostly portray Western culture and Western folklore. And I loved to learn about, you know, not monsters, but like creatures that I've never heard about and different traditions. And I love that it's a very diverse book and it includes characters from all backgrounds and ethnicities. So I think that's a pretty cool fantasy book if you love to travel and experience something different and learn new things. And the other would be, as you were saying, like if you're traveling and you're looking for just a shorter book, uh, this is one I really love and I would probably gift to anyone. And it's Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi.
I
I
read the
loved
one.
the book.
I
Yes?
was, yeah,
Did you like it?
yeah, it was so nice, and it was a magical experience.
Hmm. And it's like a collection of short stories in a way that by the end kind of entangle in one another. I love the cozy vibes. And if you don't know the plot, it's basically set in a cafe in Japan where you can, if you're drinking like a cup of coffee, you can, how is it like, meet the ghost of someone you knew with some requirements and limitations, and only for as long as the coffee is warm. Um, it's really, really lovely and heartwarming. And I think in its simplicity, it also delves deeper into more complex topics like love, relationships, family. It's really, really nice.
Looks intriguing. I saw it on Book Talk, I think, but I was
Mm,
thinking it was like a collection of poems, not a collection of short stories, but it's definitely intriguing.
yeah.
That is always involved in in your reading. So there is a pattern here.
Yeah, I know.
I was thinking about something when you said when you spoke about different cultures. I remember reading a fantasy also when I was in high school, and it's about like Japanese culture. So the books are called The Paper Gods, and so basically it's about the Japanese gods and the Japanese tradition. Also, the story is set in Tokyo, if I remember correctly, and the books are so pretty. And I remember like it's really a complete different set from what we used to read. Like we have the Yakuza gang, I think it's called like that.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
we have Yakuza gangs. We have like I don't know how they call the sports when they use they're not swords actually, but
Katanas.
it's named in French, but I don't know it in
No?
English.
Is it the katanas? 'Cause
No,
I don't know if
yes,
it's in
we have
English.
katanas, but we also have like the other one when we also see them in animes. Like they wear a mask and a suit, and they have like a sword. It's not really a sword, but it looks like a sword. Wait, I look for
Oh.
Shinigami,
it.
something like Shinigami or something like that.
Um, fencing, it's called. Like I could share my screen with you, so you know what I'm talking about. But
Sure.
wait.
We still have a lot to learn about Japanese
Ah,
culture.
so this is fencing.
Oh, I will. Okay, then I mean, yeah, it's
Okay.
scherma in Italian.
It's close to the French word because the French word is escrime.
So what does this have to do with the book? Is it
Like
like
the main character, if I remember correctly, plays fencing, and
oh,
yeah, it's a big part. It's kind of a big part in the I don't know. It's kind of a big part in the Japanese culture because, for example, I used to watch a lot of animes, and like almost always one of the main characters plays fencing. So
really?
yeah.
All right. Any book recommendations for fairy tale lovers?
Yes. Actually, I do have a recommendation for fairy tale lovers, and that would be the how are they called? The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Mayer.
I heard
So
about it.
you heard about it? So like it's a young adult science fiction series composed of 4 books. And each book is a retelling of a classic. So book number 1, which is called Cinder, is a retelling of Cinderella, who's a mechanic cyborg in Marissa Mayer's universe. We also have book 2, who is about the Little Red Riding Hood. Book 3 about Rapunzel, and book 4 about Snow White. And there's also, by the same author, we have Heartless, which explores the backstory of Queen of Hearts, the villain from Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. So yeah, we get to see how she turned into a baddie. And yes, they're good. They're actually, the stories are actually really original and kind of different from the usual fairy tale stories. So yeah.
And also shout out to the cover because the cover of the Lunar Chronicle are amazing. Like I
So
mean, at least one. They are so cool.
but the books are fat, like this fat. The last book, if I remember
Oh,
correctly, is like this. So
wow. Okay. How about you, Elena?
I don't. I don't.
It's fine. It's fine.
Sorry.
I
What
didn't
about
either. I didn't have any recommendations either. And then like a couple of weeks ago, I was watching TikTok, endlessly scrolling as usual. And I stumbled across the profile of or a TikTok from this guy. He's Italian and he kind of evaluates rare books. And he was talking about the tales of Beedle the Bard
it's from
from
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling, yeah. And it seemed so it seems so interesting to me because so essentially it's this book doesn't really or didn't really exist in real life, and then she actually wrote it to make it come to life. And so she originally created only 7 copies, if I remember correctly. They were handwritten by her. The covers were also like super precious leather covers with a lot of engravings and decorations, metal elements, precious stones. And she gifted 2 copies. Since we're talking about gifts, she gifted 2 topics to, I think, her first editor and the first like one of the people in charge of the first book, the first movie. And then the others, I don't think we know what they belong to. They were gifted as well, I think. And one, the 7th copy, I think it was auctioned for charity. And then she actually printed it because the Harry Potter fandom really requested it a lot. And so I think it's kind of a unique gift. I love the story behind it, how it was created. And I think especially if you're a Harry Potter fan, then it might be a nice kind of, gift for you. Okay. How about any other book recommendations?
So I have a recommendation for Sports Addict.
Mhm.
My recommendation for them would be Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So the book follows the legendary tennis player Carrie Soto as she returns from retirement to the tennis world in attempt to save her record. So the book is divided into different parts. So we get to see how everything started and how the legend was created. And also, the tennis rules are very, very well explained, and the games are smoothly described. I mean, I'm not a fan of tennis, but I was hooked from the beginning to the end. And I was like bored once. And also, the story seemed so realistic. It is as if Carrie Soto has really existed.
Oh, she
Also,
hasn't?
no,
Oh,
it's all fictional.
okay.
There's no Carrie Soto. And actually, it's like the same vibes of Daisy Jones and the Six, because for Daisy Jones and the Six, I mean, it was the same feeling. I felt personally as if the band existed. So here we have a tennis player, so it's a completely different domain, but the writing style remains the main. Also, the book has a very strong message, I think, which is don't let age stop you, but also know that your whole life is not defined by a single accomplishment. So yeah, the book is really, really good, and actually, you should read it even if you're not a sports fan. So it's good. It's really good.
I love tennis. I might read it.
Really, I wasn't into tennis at all before
Oh.
reading the book. Like, I knew zero rule, but while reading, I discovered a lot. So it's actually really beneficial for your general culture too. So
Mhm.
it's good.
Are you now into tennis?
No, I was kind of interested while reading the book because I was very hyped, but now the hype is gone.
My friends are playing paddle all the time, and I'm
Oh,
telling myself once I have to go with them and just try to do something, but I never do. So maybe with this book is gonna give me the
Yeah, the book is really, really good.
boost. Even though tennis and paddle are not the same, but yeah.
Just quick clarification that the main character, Carrie Soto, she's not actually very friendly, but she's kind of a bitch, but she's special. I don't know how to describe her, but she's not like the characters we long for. The book is good, nevertheless. The book is good.
I love when this happens and you have characters that are kind of annoying sometimes, or yeah, not the perfect character. I mean, I totally see the point in portraying someone perfect or, with a very good arc that then has them end up in, a very good relationship with the reader. But at the same time, I love when you have more imperfect characters that I feel like the dislike that you might feel in their regards is mostly might come from the relationship that you have with yourself and maybe the parts that you don't really appreciate of yourself. And so I find it very interesting to read about these imperfect characters because I think they're actually more realistic sometimes. Actually, not sometimes, like most of the times, probably for me.
She is realistic, but I don't know, she's kind of harsh. I mean,
Mm.
and very, very selfish,
I
but
mean,
she's also really ambitious. Like her ambition is something. She's really,
this kind of reminds me a little bit of Nesta. I haven't read the books that you were talking about, so maybe that's not the case at all. But the way you were describing her, it reminds me of how I felt about Nesta Archeron,
Mhm.
Farah's sister in the Akotar series. I really, really didn't like her behavior at all. Um,
Kind of have the same vibes. Yeah, kind
I
of.
know, yeah, and I know a lot of people really love her as a character, especially because there's the latest book, A Court of Silver Flames, that goes into her story a lot. And I see the point, and having read the book, I really see like how her character evolved, and I love that she delves into the relationship she has with herself, which I think is very, very nice. But at the same time, like for me, I don't know, it's very interesting because I really don't like the way she behaves, but I know a lot of people really love her as a character, and so yeah, it's really amazing
I
to
know what.
see.
We all love a good written, morally great character, right?
Yeah.
Actually, complex characters are more interesting than like the all goody ones, in my opinion, because you relate to them
And
more.
yes, and I also think, at least for me, it's very liberating to read about women portrayed in such a complex way because historically we've been portrayed, as this precious thing that needs to be saved or kept safe, and just in a very flat way, either, as moms, sisters, like in the family um role, or just, as side characters. And so not, I feel like historically women, with some exceptions, but especially from male authors, we were often just not portrayed as in depth as male characters, which I think is a pity. And I really love how lately so many authors, especially female authors or authors identifying as women, kind of bring female characters to the world.
I
Yeah.
kind of agree, actually, and I just noticed that I only read basically books written by female women. Female
Me
women,
too.
no.
I know what you mean. Female authors, yeah.
Actually, I saw what you're saying, Emma, especially in high fantasy book, because high fantasy book usually we have the chosen one and female character are only something to add, like an accessory to the main character. But now that fantasy is more something different, and like a lot of fantasy writers are female and they can, like, write from their own point of view. It's beautiful, and having like this different point of view and this female character that has more complexity than they have been portrayed for years. So yeah,
Mhm.
and also I read more from female authors actually. I I just checked my Goodreads and they were like, okay, 90% are female, 1% are like male author from South America, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should wear a little bit more. But yeah, totally agree with you, girls.
So, how about instead, like book gadgets or bookish items you would gift to people that love reading?
I think I'll start with the basic one, which is a Kindle, because
Mm.
I I'm saying this because all of my friend readers, I'm saying this to hi Louisa especially, they're more like into ebooks than physical books, which I don't get, but it's a choice. And so they read basically on their phones, which isn't ideal, mostly because of the notifications you get every now and then. They don't let you read in peace. So yeah, a Kindle would be a very practical and usable gift, in my opinion.
I agree 100%. I love my Kindle.
I also would suggest a good quality candle because, in order to set the atmosphere and the vibes when you're reading, you have your chocolate and your tea and your candle. And also something that actually I would like to be gift if someone is hearing now and listening this podcast. It's a book stamp. The books, that the one that say this belongs to Elena Library and you have
Oh,
it permanently
yes.
in
They're
your
really, really cute.
yeah, and I saw
Mm.
everywhere on TikTok, on Pinterest. I was like, I want it. That's my
Yeah.
thing. So I think that a reader could totally appreciate it and love it as well.
Speaking of cozy stuff, I was also thinking about, the bookish lamps. Like they look like an ordinary book, and then you open them, and it's like an accordion lamp. So yeah, you can also customize the cover, like write a cute note or a quote or something. So they'll look really good on a bookshelf, I think.
I was thinking pretty much the same, like cozy items, even just a cozy warm blanket. Or what I've also so Elena, to your point of candles, I saw there are some candles tailored to specific books or a specific book series. And I think that's very unique. Or also, like, to be honest, for me, I would love to receive one of those sweaters that are about one of the series that I was reading. So, like Akotar, but actually maybe Throne of Glass is in one that says like Fire Heart or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I have such a whenever I'm reading the Throne of Glass series and Rowan says like Fire Heart, I think this is going to end bad. I haven't finished the series, but it feels like one of those like such loving nicknames that you give to a person, and that is so full of love that something bad needs to happen. So I don't know.
Well,
But
bad
yeah,
stuff are going to happen, but
I knew it.
but not. I'm not gonna spoil it, but bad stuff
Yeah,
are going. But everything will be all right at the end, kind of. Kind of.
I'm scared, but yeah. Thank you for your
Not
support.
even scary.
No, no, no.
It's just a warning.
Thank
Speaking
you.
of sweaters, like I have one in mind. But it's like it's kind of embarrassing actually, but like last week I saw a TikTok about a sweater printed with photos of the actor who plays young President Snow, along with
No.
the phrase. Wait, along with the phrase, "I can fix him." Like,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
oh yeah, it's it's a toxic sweater kind of, but I'm still not over the Hunger Games. So
Mm.
what can we do?
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking if I have any more recommendations, but nothing comes to my mind yet. So I think I'm good.
I think quality pin, pin from books that you love, for example, with good quote, and that you can put on your, I don't know, on your scarves, or
Oh,
something
I
like
yes.
that.
actually
And
have
also,
a lot of those because I was when I was in college, I had an obsession with pins. So
mm,
I have a lot of pins of like every series, I think, a Throne of Glass, a darker shade of magic, Red Rising, because I used to be a huge fan of Red Rising. So yeah, I have them like preciously stored in a box in my room.
You know what would be so nice to kind of have different pins. So if you know someone that loves reading, you could get like a couple of pins from their favorite series or their favorite books, and then have like a piece of cloth and pin them and make like a sort of oh, how do you say it? Like the things you hang on the walls.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I don't know if we call it a carpet too, but
I have
wall
no
carpet.
idea, but like, yeah, wall decoration. I think that would be very thoughtful. And also, speaking of this, it's not a gadget, but it's more of like an experience. If you really want to go the extra mile for someone that you love or care about, that loves books, I actually heard this from TikTok. I think from actually the podcast I read what she's reading, and they were saying that a very nice gift would be to read your friend, sister, partners, whatever, the person you want to get the gift for, their favorite book, and make notes and highlight the parts that you love the most. I think that would be like so thoughtful and so sweet. Yeah, definitely more an experience than a gadget, and it requires probably a little bit more time, but yeah, I would love that.
That it's a more personal gift, so
Mm.
it's better than any gadget. I mean,
Oh yeah,
It's a totally unique gift.
mm, mm.
for anyone listening.
People listening, okay?
um,
Also, for people listening, I think book bouquets, instead of flower bouquets. I don't know if you know the trend, or
oh yes.
like
Yeah,
instead
sorry.
of flowers,
TikTok.
you have books and a flower or two, maybe, and also some chocolate. So
Mhm.
it's really romantic and
I
It
love
really.
it.
is.
Yeah.
So I actually have book recommendations for holiday Christmas period, and it's the Lonely Hearts Bookshop series by Annie Darling. So there are 4 books in total, and as the title suggests, the stories all happen in a cute little library in London. So each book follows the adventures of one librarian in particular. Yeah, the stories are light and sweet and deep in with romance and book references. So they can be read separately, and the 4th book happens during Christmas, like it's all about Christmas. So yeah, definitely go for it.
You know, another book that is set, I think, around Christmas, the novella from the Akator series. I'm not sure. I keep going to the Frost and Starlight.
Yeah.
Yes. I keep going to the Akatar series, I'm sorry, but I was thinking about,
Have you
the
read it?
cozy vibes, winter. I have read it. I really liked it. I know a lot of people just don't really enjoy it that much, but I feel like it depends how you go into it. Like if you're expecting the same depth and like things happening and pace of the other novels from the same series, and maybe you're going to be disappointed, but I was honestly just looking for a cozy novella to read more about Feyre and Rhysand. Sorry, my mind is still Rhysand. And no, I really enjoyed it. Or another book for the holidays that I think is very light, has lots of romance, and made me reevaluate the friends to lovers trope is Love Light Farms by B.K. Borson. It was very, very nice. And I know it's kind of a series of books. This one is set in winter and is really cute.
My recommendation for Christmas, it will be A Christmas Carol from Charles Dickens. I think it's a good way to approach to Dickens writing because it's really easy to get into it, and I really love it because it set the mood for and it gives you the Christmas vibes. But also, I would recommend Letter from Father Christmas from Tolkien. And I just like I was scrolling in my Goodreads in order to understand and see what were my rates of last year's in terms of Christmas reading, and I just saw the note that I made when I finished that book and was like, you can feel love from every single page of this book, because it's basically these
Oh,
letters that he wrote for his child, yeah. And he basically create a new world with polar bears, Santa Claus, that were like making what they were making, what they're doing in that period of time during Christmas, and they were sending these letters to his child. And I was like, whoa, that's huge. That's a father that loves his child. And they were amazing because he created this whole new world just for his child. I definitely recommend, because there is love in every single page of this book. So really, really recommend it.
Oh,
so
this
cute.
is
Yeah.
So, speaking of holidays and books, we have an announcement for you guys, and that is in the next episode of Chapter Chats and Chill, we will be talking about a holiday themed book, and that is.
In the Holidays by Christina Lauren.
Yes.
Yay.
Very, very excited about
With
it.
spoiler, right? With
Sorry?
spoiler. With spoiler.
With. Yes.
Yes, I think.
Be prepared.
I think so. Be prepared. Yes, this is the time to read it if you don't enjoy spoilers. Okay. Also, to wrap up this episode, we also wanted to have like a bookish news for you guys, and that's about the Goodreads Choice Awards 2023. By the way, did you girls vote for the Goodreads Choice Awards?
Mm-mm.
Oh no!
I wanted to,
Forgot about it.
then I discovered that I didn't read any book, so I was like, okay.
Yeah,
no,
me too. I read like 2 books maybe. But there are some like interesting winners. So the best fantasy goes to Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. And I think, Maroua, you read something by
I read the
them?
first
No?
book of the series, aka
Okay.
Nine House, and it was like very different from other Leigh Bardugo books because she is the author who wrote Six of Crows and Grishaverse. And except that this one, it's more like a dark fantasy that combines mystery, supernatural, a bit of thriller. So I read it a long time ago, so I don't remember all the details, but I just know that the story is set in the secret societies of Yale University.
Ooh.
That the main character has the ability to see ghosts. That's all I remember. I
Okay.
mean, it was a nice read, but it was kind of creepy and gore per moments. So I really don't know if I'll be reading the other books, to be honest. So
Mhm.
we'll see.
I also read Ninth House because it's Leigh Bardugo and I love her. And I also, as Maroua, I don't remember because I read it back in 2019. And I remember I liked it. I haven't read the second one because the author said that it was like 5 books or 7 books. And I was like, what? It took three years for the second books to be out. So I was like, no. Stop here, and then I'm gonna wait a little bit more in order to
Yeah.
have more story. But I remember I liked it. I don't remember all the whole story actually, but yeah, the whole vibes, the setting, Yale, it was kind of dark academia, kind of scary, kind of
Yes.
fantasy, kind of whatever. So I like it.
Seems intriguing.
Mhm.
Next category, Best Romantasy, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I've read it. I don't think you girls read it, right? I
I think
loved it.
let's talk about this.
I loved the first book, which is Fourth Wing, but I was kind of disappointed because one of the other candidate books was oh my God, I keep forgetting the title because it's super long. The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, and I really, really loved it even more. So I was kind of disappointed, but also not so much. Then we have Best Young Adult Fantasy Science Fiction, and we have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I have this in my
Nice.
TBR. I
I
really
saw
want
it.
to
I
read
saw
this
a lot
one.
of
Yeah.
edits about it.
I
I
have to
also
read it.
read a lot of good reviews. And
Same.
it's really, really good.
Best romance, Happy Place by Emily Henry. I haven't read anything about from her, I think, but might be worth give it a try. And then best memoir, The Woman in Me by Britney Spears, which I'm listening to from, the audiobook. And I think it's actually very interesting. Like I didn't know anything about her life, so maybe that's why, but I'm really, really loving it so far.
Oh,
I'm not really into the autobiography books, so
Me
I haven't read
neither.
one before. I don't remember.
Mm-mm.
me neither.
Yeah.
But I will.
This is my first one.
Nice. Emma, the last, how if it's good or not.
Yeah, I will keep you updated. And that's actually it for this episode. So we'll see you guys next time.
It's a wrap. Bye. Thank you for tuning into Chapter Chat and Chill.
If you loved this episode, make sure you give it a 5-star rating, thumbs up, and comment below what you want to hear next.
To stay connected in between episodes, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Chapter Chats and Chill.